Divisional Cups are officially back for Season 3. We've got a new meta, a new map. Things are very exciting at the moment. I'll discuss all the new duos on the region, who struggled and who qualified for finals, starting off with the team that came first, which is of course Hyper and Julle. These guys put in a crazy performance to win the Opens round. Definitely not something that I expected. They're two players that have been relatively quiet over the past few months, but they really did impress me. They were fighting very aggressively. Julle had 130 kills, 13 more than the player in second. They were really dominating. They were W keying in the mid game, looking super strong. Very impressive considering the fact that they are both from Finland, so they're probably playing on about 50 ping. The fact that they look so confident in the fights despite this says a lot about their ability. Over half of their games were inside the top 10, so they had some great consistency. They were switching their drop spots during the cup. Some games they were at Sunken Shores, other times they were at Shaken Sanctuary. They do seem to be trying out a lot of areas in the new map, and as you're going to see from my predictions in a second, they are at a completely different split for finals. Listen, these are two players that, as I say, have been quiet lately, but this season really could be their chance to shine because they looked so dominant yesterday. Now, the team that finished in second also put in a remarkable performance, but this time there are no surprises because it was, of course, Sky and Scroll. Sky had the top damage, Scroll had the second most eliminations, so a great performance from them as per usual, really putting the disappointment of the Summit Land past them. Realistically, that was a tournament that they could have won had they not struggled in their last two games. Clearly, they've got the mental side of their game worked out perfectly because they are not letting that affect them. They have now left their POI. Of course, Battle with Boulevard is still technically on the map. It has been reformatted, and I'll get into my thoughts on the map later on in the video, but they have now chosen to land at Frosted Flats. Will they be contested or will they have it uncon? You're going to find out in the prediction section of the video in just a moment. We had Cammy and Hari in third place. Hari in particular was great as per usual. He had a very high damage ratio. He was actually in first place. It's a stat that we constantly see him topping. He is such an efficient player and very, very underrated. For Strokey and Kiro came in fourth. We then had the new duo of Syned and iFrozy in fifth place. Pix and Franek, a brand new Polish duo, in sixth place. It does feel to me that we may have seen this team a couple of times before. The Polish player Roulette is far too strong, but they did do very well. They were second after day one of Opens, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the finals. We had another Polish duo of Pixowski and Seren finishing seventh. We then had Swizzy and Pixie in eighth place. It really does seem like they have turned a new leaf since doing well at the Summit Land. Their ninth place finish there was very solid. They do now want the entirety of the Battlewoods POI, which may not be realistic, but for this cup it could potentially happen. And finally, in ninth place we had Belusi and Zangi, and in 10th we had Woza and Nova. Now look, don't worry if your favourite duo was not in that top 10. As you can see, we had a ton of big names qualify for this finals, and it's definitely going to be a stacked one. Fredoxy and iDrop played their first tournament as a duo and did qualify. Mr. Savage and Velo have continued their perfect Divisional Cup qualification record, having made every single final since forming as a duo, and Pradaj and Trexa, a completely new team, will be partaking in the finals. However, we did also have a lot of big names miss out, the most notable example being Panzer and Yapko, who have now officially split, and this has definitely come as a shock to me. Yes, their performances have been very inconsistent, but on their day they were still a really good team. They've also qualified for the Esports World Cup LAN together, so they will still be playing that. But Panzer has now decided to pick up Merstach, and I have to say this is a decision that does surprise me because Merstach has not been good for quite some time now. Yes, he won globals and he looked really good during that, but that was back in September 2025. Since then, outside of one Divisional Cup win with Pix, which was a complete outlier, he just has not been playing well. He didn't make FNCS Grand Finals. He didn't even qualify for the heats. We just haven't seen anything to indicate that he is going to improve with his performances. And yes, I can appreciate that maybe Panzer would have a bit more chemistry playing with Merstach, but I just think that Yapko is by far the better player at this moment in time. And fair enough if Panzer and Yapko weren't working out. I can appreciate why they wanted to split. I do just think that Panzer maybe had some better options. But with that being said, Merstach is still someone who has looked great over the past few years, and I do hope he gets back to his best because when he is fragging out, when he is playing at the best of his ability, he is a force to be reckoned with. Now, this news does mean that Sato and Merstach are no longer a duo. They weren't together for a particularly long time. As you can see, some existing teams did miss out on finals. We had King, Cringe and Twy in 52nd, Dan DePuzo and Werex in 54th. However, what you'll be more interested in is the completely new duos that missed out, because we do have some very interesting teams. Mongrel and Hydro failed to qualify. They actually didn't play too badly. It was just one of those things. I do think we're going to see them in some finals in this season. We had Vanya and the Frizzy miss out. I have seen some people saying that this wasn't a particularly ambitious pickup for Vanya. Maybe he could have tried to play with someone better, but honestly, when you look at Vanya's placements over the past few months, I do think this is about right. He hasn't really been playing to the standard that we would expect from him, and potentially playing with someone that he is comfortable with, someone like Nefrizzi, could benefit him, and I do hope we see them both back on top. We had Marius and Wox, the completely new team, not qualified, but I do think there is some potential for these guys. They're landing over at Chop Shop, and they are two very strong fighters, so they won't struggle for firepower. As long as they have some direction in terms of their game plan, I do think they could do well. This wasn't the ideal start to life for them though. We had Tayson and Ghost make their return as a team. Of course, they did play together last season, but they failed to qualify for FNCS Grand Finals. Ghost then went on to qualify for the Summitland with Pix, but the original duo is back, and it will be exciting to see how they get on this season. We've got Acer and Podesite, another duo reuniting. It does feel like a lot of the teams from last season choosing to get back together, realizing that the grass isn't necessarily greener elsewhere. This is a team with a lot of quality, and a Globalist qualification should not be out of the picture. In terms of some other new duos, we had the return of Yanis and Rax. These guys were playing together a while ago now, right at the end of 2025, before Rax dropped Yanis for Seti, but they are now back. We've got Cheatin and Kaiduo playing together, Giras and Tiddy, Twek and Gonzo, Artskill and Kotyarich, and Trucio and Fochka. Now, to briefly speak about NA Central, you can see a list of all the European duos that qualified for finals up on the screen now. We do also have some new teams of interest. Queasy has of course moved to Dallas, and he will now be playing with Scare. That is a new team, and they did qualify for the finals at the first time of asking. We also have Veno back in America. He isn't playing with Curve anymore. He has now picked up Clicks, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on. They did really struggle in these opens though, not qualifying for the finals, but I'm sure we're going to see better performances from them in the future. In terms of how the new season is playing out, I do think there are a lot of positives. The new map in particular is really fun. I didn't expect to have anywhere near this amount of changes. It feels like a completely new chapter. I like how they've kept some of the old POIs, but refreshed them a bit with the biome switches to keep things interesting. The whole south side of the map looks really nice too, the tropical, almost ethereal feel. It does seem like this season was designed to combat the release of GTA 6, which was meant to be this summer, with the whole tropical Everglades Miami feel to the south side of the map. Of course, the Chapter 7 Season 1 map was based around California, which had some GTA 5 vibes, and it does feel like they're trying to continue with that. Even the main skin in the Battle Pass is reminiscent of the protagonist from GTA 6, so it does feel like that was very much in the back of their minds, but with the game not releasing, it didn't end up mattering. And the meta is also looking solid. Yes, the Chaos Reloader shotgun is still in, but I'm not as big a critic of this gun as many people are. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather we just have the Iron Pump shotgun because it would be a more balanced meta, but I still think we can have a lot of fun watching the game whilst this shotgun is in, and it does make for some good moments. Yes, there's a lot of lurk plays. Yes, players can get hit for a ridiculous amount of damage, but from a spectator perspective, I do think that isn't the end of the world. The Chaos Rifle is still quite broken. It's been nerfed a couple of times, which I do appreciate Epic for doing. They are clearly working hard with the balancing, but I still do think it's a tiny bit on the broken side, but it is a bit more manageable at the moment. We've got the 7 sliders added. Unfortunately, I don't think these will be carried too much in the team modes because overdrive grenades will still be the meta, but in solo cash cups, I'd like to see how these are used. I think there's a real application for them, especially since they have infinite charge when you're using them on water, so there's going to be some very interesting dead side rotates. We had the free fall ability added to competitive Fortnite. I have to say I'm really warming up to this. Initially I was not convinced, but after getting into game and testing it out, it does make dropping a lot more fluid, and I do think it's going to be a positive change for the game. Listen, overall I do think this meta is very solid. The movement is great with the overdrive grenades. Yes, the ARs could use a bit of balancing. Yes, the Chaos Reloader shotgun is very strong, but overall I'm very excited for what Season 3 has to hold. Now, as promised, let's get into my predictions for finals. You may notice that a lot of the big duos are contested. That, combined with the fact that it is the first set lobby tournament of the season, makes predicting this very difficult, but I will give it a go. Here is my top 10. In 10th place, I've gone for Dharm and Demush. Yes, I know they're contested over at Sunken Shores by Khan and Faded Pigeon, but I do wonder if there's a world in which they could potentially split that. With so many big duos conned, I'm going to have to throw in some interesting shouts here, and I do think Dharm and Deemish have the quality to make it into the top 10. In 9th, I've gone for Vico and Malabuka, and this is a complete punt. I have a feeling that they may leave Lifty Lodge. That spawn fight against Prodoxy and Eyedrop does not look that appealing, especially when you consider the fact that there's a Danish duo to the left of them as well, so I don't see Vico and Malabuka having a great cup if they stay there. If they choose a new spot, they could easily take out any team that were there, and I do think they could have a good tournament. With all the uncertainty, I think 9th place is fair. In 8th place, I've gone for the Opens winners, Hyper and Julle. They're landing at the Birders Beach split right in the southwest corner of the map, and can they replicate their performance from Opens? It does remain to be seen, but if they continue that kind of form, then they should make the top 10. I've gone for Chap and Flixie in 7th place. Now, of course, this is a team that have kind of struggled over the past few months, but they did do okay at the Summit LAN, securing a 15th place finish to narrowly qualify for Globals, so maybe we do need to give them a bit more respect as a duo. With Golden Grove uncontested, this could be a great tournament for them. In 6th place, I've gone for Cami and Hari. They're landing over at the tunnel split north of the map, and they are typically a duo that are very good at adapting to new metas, so they should have no issues in this final. In 5th place, I've gone for Sky and Scroll. Yes, they are contested by Vidil and Dew over at Frosted Flats, but they always find a way to do well. They've qualified for every single divisional cup in this chapter, that's 11 in total, and they haven't finished outside of the top 10 once, and in some of those cups they were actually contested, so there's no way I'm going to back against them. In 4th place, I've gone for Swizzy and Pixie. Now, they want to take the entirety of Battle Woods, which is an insane amount of loot. They do have Nero and Joshbot landing on them, but I do suspect there's a world in which they split it, and if they do that, then Swizzy and Pixie have a huge chance to do well in this tournament, but I do think there's 3 teams that may do slightly better. In 3rd place, I've gone for Focus and Thomas HD. They're now landing over at Heatwave Harbour, and they do have that drop completely uncontested. We had the news this week that they are now coached by Razaru, which is pretty big for their future. Listen, I am always full of praise for these guys. Thomas is someone that's been around for ages. He's a great player, very, very underrated in terms of his play style. Of course, he's very efficient, not the most flashy player, but very good nonetheless. And Focus, someone who is an incredible fighter, genuinely one of the best in the world, and who has been leading this duo well over the past few months as well. Now, with the help of Raz, I do think they can take their game to a new level, so 3rd is where I've got them. In 2nd place, I've gone for Chino and Pablo Wingu. Now, they're landing over at Sinister Strip. They do have that area completely uncontested, and that is a situation that they should 100% be capitalizing on. Yes, the Summit LAN wasn't ideal for them, but they did still manage the Globals qualification. They haven't actually won a Divisional Cup this year. Could this be the time they do it? It's on the cards, but I do think there is one duo that may finish slightly higher, and that is of course Shark and Teeny. Now, they've officially left Wonky Land. Their new POI is Calamari Canyon, and they do have it uncontested for these finals. Listen, this is a punt. Obviously, we've not seen this map play out in a set lobby finals, but Shark and Teeny, with the ability they have, I do think they are the favourites to go and win it. All the duos in the top 5 have a realistic chance, but Teeny's IGLing at the Summit LAN was super impressive, and if he can continue that momentum, I do think they have the best chance of winning this tournament. Subscribe to stay up to date with European Fortnite news. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.